My name is Josh, and I always wanted to be a cop like my dad. He was my hero, tough, brave, and respected by everyone in our small town. People called him the Iron Shield, and as a kid I would wear his old badge and march around the house pretending to arrest criminals. I thought he stood for justice, for truth, but I was wrong. It started 2 weeks after my 17th birthday. I was just starting my senior year in high school, thinking about joining the police academy right after graduation. One Friday, the principal called me into his office. I wasn't worried. I figured it was about student council or some school event. But when I walked in, there were two officers sitting there, and they weren't smiling. "Josh Thompson, you're under investigation for theft of evidence from the police storage facility." I laughed. I thought it was some kind of joke, but the look on their faces told me otherwise. One of them slid a clear plastic bag across the table. Inside it was a flash drive with the department's seal on it, and my fingerprints. I was stunned. I had no idea how it got there. I tried to explain that I'd never even been near the evidence room. They didn't care. The evidence was clear. My prints, surveillance footage of someone in a hoodie that resembled me, and the fact that the flash drive was found in my backpack. That backpack had been in the locker room all morning. I begged them to talk to my dad. He'd clear this up. He knew I would never steal from the department. They looked at each other and said, "We already did." Dad came in 10 minutes later. I felt relief wash over me until I saw his face. It was cold, detached. "Josh, if you did this, you have to take responsibility," he said quietly. "I didn't," I shouted. "Dad, you know me." But he just shook his head. "We'll let the investigation run its course." I was suspended from school. My name was in the local news. "Cop's son steals from evidence room." People I'd known my whole life looked at me like I was a criminal. My mom cried for days. She begged my dad to step in, but he kept saying he couldn't interfere with an official investigation. Then something even crazier happened. A week after my arrest, there was a hostage situation at a local bank. 5 people were held at gunpoint. My dad was the negotiator. He managed to talk the guy down and storm the place, rescuing everyone. Overnight, he became a national hero. TV crews, medals, interviews. They called him the hero cop. He smiled through it all while I sat at home and under house arrest, watching my dreams die. But I couldn't let it go. Something felt off. Why would the flash drive even be in the evidence room? And why would someone go through the trouble to frame me? One night I snuck into the attic to look through Dad's old case files. He kept copies. He always did, for reference. I found the case connected to the stolen drive. It contained surveillance video of a drug bust, one that had mysteriously gone wrong. 2 dealers escaped. 1 officer got shot. And then I saw it. On a paused frame from the video was my dad, off to the side, talking to one of the dealers, laughing. The timestamp matched the time he claimed he was on break. My heart sank. Could it be? Could he have covered it up? I dug deeper. I found another file, an internal complaint, unsigned, accusing someone in the Department of planting evidence and tipping off criminals. It had been buried. I realized then my dad framed me to protect himself. The flash drive contained footage that could destroy his career and his life. I confronted my mom first. She looked like she'd been hit by a train. "I knew something wasn't right," she whispered, "but I never thought he'd go this far." I needed proof, so I set up a trap. I told Dad I wanted to apologize, that I was willing to take a plea deal and forget about everything. He looked relieved. That night, he left his office door slightly open while he made a call. I recorded it from the hallway. He told someone, "The kid's finally folding. Yeah, I had to make a choice. Better him than me. I'm too close to retirement." I took recording, the files, and the original flash drive, and sent them to Internal Affairs anonymously. 2 days later, they came for him. He didn't fight, didn't cry, just looked at me and said, "You had to do what you had to do." The town was in shock. The hero cop, exposed. But they didn't know the full story. They just knew he tampered with evidence. The rest stayed sealed. I was cleared of all charges, but the damage was done. I couldn't walk into a room without feeling like eyes were on me. Today, I'm studying criminal justice. Not because I want to be like my dad, but because I want to make sure people like him don't get away with it again. And sometimes, I still see his old badge on my desk. A reminder that heroes aren't always what they seem. After I exposed my dad for framing me, I thought everything would finally be over. I expected justice, closure. Instead, things got darker. I was still suspended from the academy, pending internal review. My name was cleared legally, but the whispers didn't stop. Some cadets looked at me with pity, others with suspicion. And my dad? He disappeared. I hadn't heard from him in weeks. The department launched a formal investigation into his activities, but he was nowhere to be found. My mom stopped answering my calls. Then one night around 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I hesitated and answered. "You should have stayed quiet." No, click. They hung up. My heart was racing. Was that him? I reported the call to Internal Affairs. They added it to my file, but seemed more interested in protecting the department's image than uncovering the truth. A week later, my apartment was broken into. Nothing was stolen, just trashed. My laptop smashed. Police said it looked like a random act of vandalism. Oh, right. Random. I started digging deeper into my dad's past. I remembered old conversations as sudden mood shifts, the weird phone calls late at night, and once when I was 14, I saw him hide a second phone in his car. I reached out to one of his ex-partners, Officer Ruiz. He sounded nervous the moment I mentioned my dad. "You really don't want to mess with this kid." "He's my dad. I already messed with it." "Then watch your back." Later that week, I got an anonymous email from a burner account. He wasn't working alone. "Start with the warehouse on 9th. Look for the blue locker." No signature, just coordinates. I hesitated, but I went. The warehouse looked abandoned. But when I found the blue locker, inside was a stack of old files, physical, dusty reports. Names, dates, missing evidence logs. My dad's handwriting. And one thing stood out. A list of names under blackmail leverage. Mine was on it, so was Ruiz. And then another twist. At the bottom was a name I never expected. Captain Henders, the head of Internal Affairs. The man who told me they'd take care of everything. My dad wasn't just trying to save his career. He was covering up a web of corruption. Suddenly I heard footsteps. I hid. 2 men entered. One of them was Ruiz. "I told you he'd come here. If he talks, it's all over." They were working together. I barely escaped through a side window. I ran all the way home, my heart pounding. Now I knew. My dad framed me, yes, but Ruiz and others were part of it too. He wasn't the mastermind. He was a pawn, a scared, desperate pawn in a game bigger than I could have imagined. I went public. I uploaded a video detailing everything. I didn't use department names, but I laid out the facts. I showed copies of the files. It went viral overnight. Thousands of views. Comments poured in. People shared their own stories. Other cops anonymously backed me up, said they saw strange things too. A week later, the city's mayor announced a full external investigation into the police department. But there was still one last piece. My dad. He finally contacted me. You weren't supposed to find out. I was protecting you. By ruining my life, by keeping you alive. He told me that corruption ran all the way to city council, that he was forced to participate after witnessing something he wasn't supposed to see, and they threatened our family. I didn't know whether to believe him, but he gave me a flash drive. This proves everything. I'm done hiding. He turned himself in the next day. So did Ruiz. Today I'm still suspended. But now people know the truth. The department is under review. Arrests have been made. The system is finally being shaken. And my dad? He's facing trial, but maybe in his twisted way, he really did try to protect me. All I know is this. The truth always comes out. And sometimes the person who hurts you was hurt first.